Way out west, there was this podcast, a podcast I want to tell you about. Podcast by the name of Moderately Geeky. At least that was the handle his knuckleheaded creators gave him. But it never had much use for it itself. Moderately Geeky, it called itself Social Geekery. Now, Social Geekery, that's a name no one would self-apply where I come from. But then there was a lot about Social Geekery that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And a lot about where it lived likewise. But then again, maybe that's why I found the place so damned interesting. They called it the interwebs, the information superhighway. I didn't find it to be that exactly. But I'll allow there are some nice folks there. Of course, I can't say I've seen London, and I ain't ever been to France, and I ain't never seen no queen in her damned undies, so the feller says. But I'll tell you what, after seeing the interwebs, and this here story I'm about to unfold, well, I guess I seen something every bit as stupefying as you'd see in any of them other places, and in English, too. So I can die with a smile upon my face without feeling like the good Lord gypped me. Now, this here story I'm about to unfold took place back in the early aughts, just about the time of our conflict with Osama and G.I. Joe died for the 4th time. I only mention it because sometimes there's a show. I won't say a hero, because what's a hero? But sometimes there's a show. And I'm talking about Social Geekery here. Sometimes there's a show, well, it's the show for its time and place. It fits right in there. And that's Social Geekery on the interwebs. And even if it's a lazy show, and Social Geekery was most certainly that, quite possibly the laziest on the web, which would place it high in the running for laziest worldwide. But sometimes there's a show. Sometimes there's a show. Oh, I lost my train of thought here, but oh, hell. I've done introduced it enough. These are the new adventures of Moderately Geeky. This is Social Geekery. Now, here's the man who makes his White Russians with Dr. Pepper, Jay Hunger.
Well, welcome back to Social Geekery. You know, Travis, that was a perfect intro, but we got no video of it, so...
Woo-hoo!
I don't know. Yeah, you saw the little gif of the guy holding the sign up in front of the camera, so I'm kind of thinking that was Travis doing the intro here. All right, we've got it's the three amigos tonight. So we've got Travis.
Howdy.
We got Jason.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time you listen to this.
And I'm Jay. As we kind of scavenge through the bones of Moderately Geeky, we're going to just take a look at us, you know, for better or worse. So if you want to get out, now's the time. But if you want to hear a little tidbits about us and see what you can harass us about what we know and about what we don't know. And I don't know what Jason's doing over there, but who knows? So Travis, we'll hand it off to you and let's get the show going.
All right, before we jump into a little bit about ourselves, I guess we mentioned one bit of news maybe we should take a moment to talk about, and that was the release of the new Assassin's Creed trailer this morning entitled Valhalla.
Yes.
And I know, Jay, you're a big Assassin's Creed guy. Jason, I know you've played some. I know I've played about 4 of them for about 20 minutes and gave up on every one of them. So, Jay, what did you think of the trailer?
Well, it's kind of hard to see how the game's actually going to be with the trailer that they gave us because it's all cinematic. But what they gave us was gorgeous in terms of a cinematic view of where we're going to look at. Looks like it's going to be the Vikings versus the Saxons. I won't lie, it kind of reminds me of the show Vikings on what was it, History or TLC? I don't know, one of those shows. This is History, right?
Yeah.
History Channel? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it looks gorgeous, and I really hope that they play up with the whole first civilization, the whole eerie, ooky, spooky kind of stuff that they did with Origins that I thought they kind of left out with Odyssey. From what I saw, it looks like it's going to be more of a brawler than what I thought Origins was more of a sniper kind of a game where you could snipe with bows until the end of time. Whereas Odyssey, I felt like you had to get in the fight and just fight your way out.
Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I played through all but Unity and Rogue, and Odyssey. Rogues would be good, but I really didn't like Unity, and I really didn't like Odyssey. But every one of them I've completed. Some of them almost 100% of the games. I liked the trailer. I was a fan of the show until after Ragnar. Spoiler, if you know this.
Hey, I haven't seen it
Ragnar kind of
yet.
bites dust eventually.
Oh, what the hell?
It's a story that's been around for like 1,000 years.
Ah, I'm done with this crap. See ya.
You've never heard of the story Ragnar Lothbrok?
Of course I have.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Eventually the guy's going to die. Anyway, I'm kind of wondering if they're going to follow that same kind of storyline. If they're going to follow him, if they're going to come up with their own characters, or because like if you play like Assassin's Creed, they have a mix of fictional characters with realistic, characters from history. Although it is, artistic license with them, they're still there. So like if you play 3, it's like all the founding fathers and whatnot make appearances throughout it. So it'll be interesting to see if we get some of those characters mixed in there, or if that's who you end up playing. So
sure. Yeah, I don't have a horse in the game, but nothing screams stealth like Vikings, does it?
Right.
No.
They just need to drop the assassins from and call it the Creed, and it works.
Right?
Right.
Murderous Bastards, the game.
Yeah, there we go.
So, all right.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be delicate whether they. I take it back. Black Flag, there was very little assassinating sneakiness about it. You were straight up a pirate, So if they go about that and just kind of throw away the whole idea of being a sneaky assassin and that you're a pirate, essentially way back in the day, then yeah, it'll work. But
sure. Well, we'll see. It's early, but as always, those gameplay trailers look really pretty, and we'll see what it comes to. We'll talk video games down the road here a little bit. Today, though, we wanted to just spend some time, talking about us, our history, what we like, what we don't like. Maybe some people that haven't been following us for a long time or forgot who we were. We wanted to take some time to just reminisce a little bit, go down nostalgia lane here. So let's just do some generic kind of bio questions here to start. Why don't we say, where you're from, where you currently live. Jay, you want to update your current location?
Okay. So originally I'm from Southeast Indiana. Went to school in Northern Kentucky, Northern Kentucky University. I moved to Indianapolis like immediately after graduation, and then I've been here ever since. So, and that's about maybe, 16, 17 years, I think. So I've been up in Indy for that long. But yeah, I'm a toy collector. Now that the quarantine was in place, I kind of dove back into Gundam model building and collecting and stuff like that. Usually I spend my summers playing beach volleyball, but I can't do that for right now. So I'm just building models and spending money.
There you go. How about you, Jason?
So I'm from Southwest Louisiana, not New Orleans. Lake Charles area. I'm closer to Baton Rouge than I am. Closer to Houston than I am New Orleans. Went to school here, grew up here. I wasn't born here. My wife and I both graduated from local university, McNeese State. 2 degrees. I work as a nurse right now. I work in surgery. Right now my time's kind of filled just about hanging out and playing video games and occasionally going to work. But I used to hunt and fish a lot, but I hadn't really been doing a whole lot of that. Is what it is.
There you go. I was born in Eastern Iowa, Cedar Rapids, and spent my entire childhood there, and went to college up in Minnesota at Northwestern University, and went to school for ministry, spent a number of years as a minister up in the Twin Cities, and then moved back to Iowa and jumped into the family business, and now I work in water. We deal with water. Poopy water, amongst other things. The majority of our business is potable water, but we do wastewater also in chemicals, and we have a family-run business. Me and the wife kind of manage and run and do all that. So I'm using some of the same skill set and some very different skills. But yeah, we live in Southwest Iowa in a little rural town, less than 10,000 people now. So it's a little bit of a change. But yeah, we've been here nine years now, I guess. So this is the longest my wife's lived anywhere. It's the longest we've lived in any one spot since we've been married. And holy shnight, this is 20 years for us this year. We'll be married. So we're getting old, guys. It's starting to add up. Time is taking its toll. See, we talked about jobs. Okay, just one kind of last thing. I know the three of us at least all have kids. And George, when he's on, he's got a couple girls. Harlan's contemplating getting a cat. So you can, if you're of the praying sort, pray for Harlan and his cat, I guess. I look forward to seeing what he names something if he gets it. But if it's not Snugglebutt or something like that, I'll be very disappointed. But yeah. If you have a tattoo, tell us about your tattoo. And if you don't, what kind of tattoo would you get? This is my if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be question. But if you don't have a tattoo, what tattoo would you get, Jay?
I don't have a tattoo. I almost got one a couple times and I just chickened out. I'm pansy. But I thought about getting a shield on my arm. So
any particular shield?
Not really. I wanted it. It was supposed to have like a ultra deep meaning, but it probably just come off as stupid and lame. So, I drew up a shield like a long time ago, and I was just like, I kind of dig that, and maybe I'll do a tattoo with it. And I just chickened out. Then I got old, and it just didn't make sense for an old man to get a new fresh tattoo, I guess.
You haven't hit that stage of midlife crisis quite yet, have you?
Oh, I don't know. I've hit midlife crisis pretty hard. So,
how about you, Jason? Any tattoos?
No, surprisingly, I don't have any tattoos. My wife has a lot of tattoos. I don't have any tattoos.
Say, how many does Sarah have?
I don't know. 8. I think that's a lot. Man, some people probably have, of course, a lot more. I don't know if there's anything I'd want to permanently put on my body. That's the thing. I don't like the permanence of it. I take issue with that. I'm like, it's there forever unless you go have laser surgery. I don't want to have laser surgery to have it removed.
So if you were going to put a temporary tattoo on yourself for the spring break weekend, Jason, what would you get? Well, besides the butterfly tramp stamp.
Butterfly tramp stamp. No, it would not be a butterfly tramp stamp. Actually, oddly, I was thinking about this. Last night, if I got a tattoo, what would it be? I guess it would probably be like a collage of items to kind of tell a small story of my life. So like kind of things that happened in my life that either represents it or something that was part of it, just like a small part of my back, So
your work history alone would take up all of my back.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. I don't have any tattoos either. No real desire other than I love tattoos. I love them on other people. One, I don't like needles, but two, yeah, I don't know what I'd get if there'd be anything permanent, but it'd probably be a Chewbacca somewhere. I'd have to get a Chewie head, maybe just a bandolier across the strap. A Groot would be good, but understand Groot is just modern Chewie to me. Chewie's the first love,
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Groot and Rocket pretty much are Han and Chewie.
Yeah, pretty much. But okay, well let's start getting into some favorite things here. Let's talk food. I know this show isn't a gourmet or foodie type podcast, but I mean, you look at us. We all like to eat, right? So, what's your favorite meal? If this is if you had one meal, you're on death row. Last time, what are you eating, Jay?
One of the things I like to have for like a comfort meal, especially like when it's cold out, is I like to have Skyline chili.
Yeah, we just had some last night.
Nice. So growing up around Cincinnati, we had Skyline all the time. So, and I was just happy that they had a few in Indianapolis. So, but yeah, that's my comfort food. But one of the things that I love breakfast food. Like I'll make biscuits and gravy. I can eat that anytime. I love biscuits and gravy.
Very good. Yeah, I married into a family from the Cincinnati area of Ohio, so I'd never had it till I was in high school when I started dating Nicole, and we probably have it at least once a month, if not twice a month anymore. But we don't have the restaurants around us, so we got to order the packets in and make it ourselves. But it's been a long time since I've had Sky. I think the last time I had Skyline proper is when we came out Indy in 09, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing around here like that, so we got to make it at home.
Right.
But Jason, how about you? What's your last meal?
Oh, that's hard, man. It'd be some kind of gumbo. It's a tie. Some kind of gumbo, or a nugget and fry from Chick-fil-A. It's one of those two.
Okay,
hey, come on, man.
Hey, some people like their Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, dude, I love Chick-fil-A.
It's all right. I won't turn it down. But for me, I'd have to go with something my mom made when I was a kid, probably egg rolls and bulgogi or something like that. If I was going like a fast food, it'd be pizza. I mean, a really good piece of pizza is tough to beat. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, something Korean.
So wait now.
Yeah.
Are we talking deep dish? Are we talking thin crust? Are we talking?
If it's the last meal, I would go probably Chicago style.
Okay.
Chicago style Giordano's or.
So you're just going for a heart attack then?
If it's my last meal, yeah, I'm going to leave a mess.
I mean, what's the matter at that point? He's going to die
Right?
anyway.
Yeah.
Blaze a fire, I guess. I don't know.
Right. No, but I like all pizza. I haven't met a pizza that I don't like. I like pineapple on pizza. I like kimchi on pizza. I like weird stuff on pizza. And I like cheese pizza. I'm not picky. Tomato sauce, cheese, bread, it's good.
There you go.
Here's something that's going to make people that do not like pineapple on pizza revolt. Pineapple and pepperoni. For some reason, it just goes well.
Fine. It's fine. It's good. So, okay, let's go ice cream flavor then. What's your go-to ice cream flavor, Jay?
Fish food from Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, that's a pretty popular one. How about you, Jason?
Strawberry.
Strawberry. I'm a pistachio guy myself. I like green ice cream. What can I say? But yeah. How about your drink of choice? What's your drink at the end of a day there, Jay?
There you go.
Yeah.
There. Corona.
It's
I honestly I like Coronas. You know what I like more than Corona? It's basically a Corona without the nasty aftertaste. Is Land Shark beer.
yeah, Land Shark.
I dig that. But yeah, I mean, I don't drink a lot, honestly. I'll drink Mountain Dew Red until I'm just out of it. I'll go through a 12-pack faster than I should.
Yuck.
Yuck.
Pure sugar,
No.
liquid sugar.
Yeah, Jason, how about you?
I drink water and unsweet tea and coffee. If I would drink an
Unsweet
alcoholic
tea?
drink, it's probably going to be a beer called Cane Break from a local brewery, and margaritas. That's pretty much the only. Occasionally, I'll have a glass of red wine, but I don't really drink alcohol much anymore.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't drink a lot, but for a beer, I'll go Spotted Cow out of New Glarus, Wisconsin. If you haven't had one of those, it's about as easy drinking as you get. Real good. For a mixed drink, I'll go. I like a Dark and Stormy, which is basically a Moscow Mule with spiced rum instead of vodka in it. But otherwise, yeah, Jason, I'm like you. I drink black coffee in the morning and water the rest of the day, pretty much, because I'm old, and if I drink anything else, I get fatter than I am. So, yeah, it has to be the unsweetened stuff now. But all right, let's do. Let's talk movies, and we talk a lot of movies, and we know. Growing up in the 80s, being kind of the nerdy sci-fi guys, we kind of delve in the same realms. There's Star Wars, there's Indiana Jones, Back to the Future. But give me one movie that you think is highly overrated and one movie that's highly underrated. So a movie that you think not a lot of people like that you really like, and one that a lot of people like that you don't necessarily like. All right, Jay, what do you got?
All right, I try to think about this, and I don't really push to think negatively of something. If it's something that I don't like, I really kind of push it out, like I don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard for me to say the overrated one. There's a bunch of movies that I just don't like just because I don't like them. But As far as underrated, I don't know. I like Pacific Rim. It's just fun, stupid movie.
Is that underrated? I mean, it's kind of got a cult
People
following
hate it.
now.
They think
Really?
it's yeah. They think it's like terrible and all this. I mean, some people don't. I mean, Travis, I know you like it.
Yeah, that's a seminal movie in our household.
Yeah,
Second
it's just
one's a different story.
yeah. So, well,
All right.
now in fairness to the second one, I do like the mecha in it. It's kind of like watching a Gundam show. It's just like you don't care what happens in it. You just like the robots. So
That's
it's
true.
just like it's eye candy. So
There you go. All right, Jason,
but,
how about you?
I think it's fun.
Oh, cool. Jason.
Underrated movie. Honestly, and I'm probably in the minority here, I freaking love Star Wars. Solo, the Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love Westerns. It's a space Western set in Star Wars. It's like, duh. Most overrated movie in freaking history, Titanic. I freaking hate that movie. God, that movie's horrible. Second to that,
of all
Avatar.
the movies I was going to say Titanic too, but
Avatar's right below that.
There you go. For me, I'll go underrated. I love a movie called City Slickers. Back in the 90s, Billy Crystal.
yeah, but is that underrated though? I thought that was a well-loved movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty well-loved movie.
At the time, how many people have talked about City Slickers to you in the last 20 years?
Yeah, but
It got buried. Or was it 90s?
Right? It was 90s, mid-90s. I was in middle school when that movie came out, and I don't know why I love this movie about middle-aged guys going on a dude ranch vacation, but it stuck with me. And in high school, I could quote that movie line for line through the whole thing. And
Travis, you were old when you were young.
I was always old. And here, I'm about to lose some friends on this one. I think the most overrated movie in history is Top Gun.
Cut his mic. Wait a minute, that's me. Listen, I love that movie. Again, eye candy movie. Completely eye candy movie, except for Kelly.
I know.
What?
Okay, we're just going to cut that.
She's never come on the show.
Right. So Maggie Gyllenhaal and Kelly McGillis, sorry you'll never be on our show. Bringing back Maggie Gyllenhaal. But
the movie, Top Gun had so many errors and so many screw-ups. It was laughable, but those jets are just gorgeous, man.
Gosh, whatever. Tom
better
Cruise
than Iron
back
Eagle.
in there. Oh, Iron Eagle's such a better movie. Anyway, so yeah, I'm sure I've lost. Everyone can comment in the post how much they hate us all now for things that we don't like. But let's move on.
Not me. You.
Okay, that's fine. I stand by it. Top Gun is a terrible movie. It's a terrible movie for 80s movies, which as a whole were terrible. But anyways, let's talk TV shows. We were just talking a little bit earlier. I mentioned we were going through Chuck, and so I'll do that for this one. Naming a TV show that you can watch over and over that you've just always loved since it came out. And for me and my wife both, and it's rare where we both come together on something we both really like. But
your wife has good taste.
She does.
Other than you.
Well, that's true. But she doesn't like Top Gun either, so if that helps.
Well, I'll have to have a talk with her.
You and her lined up very closely. I think that's why we're friends, because you're so much like my wife, and I like my wife. So,
Getting weird now.
Yeah, this is getting creepy now. So, but no, Chuck is a show. It's fun. It's funny. There's action. Yeah, it's really stupid, but rewatching it this time, what really stuck out to me is the use of music in it. It has a really good score, but every week they have some kind of classic rock or music that really fits it, and I really enjoyed that. And so Chuck's one for me that I always can go back to, and I always enjoy watching it every time it comes on. How about you, Jay?
I love Chuck, by the way. It's such a fun movie. Just a good, fun show. For me, I mean, I'll always watch MASH. I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid, but as an adult, I love the hell out of MASH. Another one is Scrubs. I will just watch Scrubs until the end of time, other than that last season. That last season's garbage.
Oh, it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
No.
How about you, Jason?
This season, she went to private practice, and
No, they like start this weird school like someplace else, and JD's not on it anymore, and
I didn't
it's
even watch it.
Yeah.
it's
Oh, I
not
think I
worth it.
remember that. It was like a big deal because he didn't come back, and they were like, "We're still gonna do it anyway." And everyone was like, "Why?"
Right.
Yeah, it was dumb. Anyways, Jason, what's a show that you loved?
I actually MASH. I grew up watching it. I was a huge fan as a kid. I never stopped being a fan. I remember growing up, I had a MASH shirt. It's part of why I became a nurse. I even tried to
If
go
you
to the
love hot
military to
lips, you
work
identify with hot lips.
Everyone loves hot lips.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I even tried to join the military to work for a surgical unit. That's kind of what I wanted to do if I ended up getting in as a nurse. Didn't, but I tried. I work in surgery now, so.
You know they have longer commitments in 6 months in the military, right?
No. In civilian life, it's all about the money.
All right. So let's. How about video games? What's a favorite retro game that you just loved as a kid? What was your favorite thing? We all grew up in the NES era, into Super Nintendo a little bit, but what's the retro game that you just spent a lot of time on, Jay?
Do you guys remember Sky Sharks? It was a basic scrolling airplane shooter, basically a World War II P-51 kind of a fighter. And the reason it stuck with me is because both me and my dad would play it. Dad wouldn't play hardly any video games, but for whatever reason, it latched on to him. I don't know if it was the old P-51 kind of a thing, but he dug it. And that one kind of just resonated with me. So he played it, I played it. I tell you what, one of the arcade machines, though, that I played all the time when I was a kid, we'd go to the pizza parlor and do that. There's a game called, I think it was Road Blasters.
Oh, I loved Road Blasters.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It was like Rad Racer, but you got to shoot things. It was the best.
Yeah, it was great.
Was it the stand-up cabinet or the sit-down cabinet?
The stand-up.
Oh, yeah. The Showbiz we had as a kid, I'd go and it was one of the sit-down ones with the steering wheel, and it actually, I think it had a barrel on it, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that was great. Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
How about you, Jason?
I had an S. Played first games were Mario and The Legend of Zelda, but the game I played and still play to this day, A Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, my all-time favorite game. I don't know why it is. I used to sit down, me and my friends, like in high school and college, we'd go out, drink or whatever, and come back to the house, and I'd flop down, sit down, and he watched me play through that game so many times. So, but yeah, that's my deal. Zelda.
There you go. Yeah, I was Mega Man 2. That was the game that did it for me. I loved Mega Man 2. Still the music, the graphics, for when it came out, I mean, there was nothing that really touched it. It was the first kind of video game that looked like a cartoon, I think. And if you go back and look at it now, maybe it's a little rough, but it was so fun. I love that game. The different weapons, the different stages, the whole thing did it for me. I love Mega Man 2. But so how about modern games? Let's say 2000 forward. What's been your favorite modern game as an adult, so to speak? Jay?
It's got to be Assassin's Creed, man. I've got three favorite, honestly, and I don't want to just take up all the time, but I'd go with Assassin's Creed just because that's where I spent most of my money in terms of video games. I bought, I think, every one, and it's something that I can share with my son because my youngest loves it too. So he's been digging it, and he's been interested in all the news with Valhalla and all that. But yeah, I'll go with Assassin's Creed.
Cool. How about you, Jason?
Ooh, I don't know. I can just pick one.
Well, give the first one that came to mind.
Ones I've logged the most hours in, probably. We'll just go there. Halo 3, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto 5 online. Those are probably the ones I spent the most time in.
Yeah. For me, it'd be the Metal Gear Solid series. I have a hard time picking one game. I probably had the most fun with Metal Gear Solid 2. That's before I had kids and stuff. But the best one was probably Metal Gear Solid 4 that I liked the most. Although 5 you can airlift bears, and I literally spent hours and hours doing the little balloon thing and just having bears taken off into the sky. I still think it's hilarious. It's so fun. But
I will.
yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Ace Combat though. I love Ace Combat. The whole jet thing. I just dug it. And Red Dead Redemption, the first one at least, was just a gorgeous game. A great story.
Have you played the second one?
I started it and I can't get sucked in like I did the first one.
Dude, you thought the first one was pretty. Play through more of that second one. There's some graphics and scenery in that game is just, you almost can't believe you're looking at a video game.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's pivot a little bit to music. Now, I don't know about you guys, but maybe your music taste changed from when you were a middle schooler. Maybe you're like me and they haven't really changed since you were in middle school. But what do you get your groove onto there, Jay?
It's got to be rock, and I'll just listen to electronic just when I'm feeling happy and hoppy and just want to do something fun. But I usually listen to rock.
There you go. How about you, Jason?
Classic rock, jazz, blues, classical, and I like the newer bluegrass type stuff like Mumford. Oddly, nobody would probably guess that, but yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I stick in the classic rock and blues type stuff. I do find myself getting a lot more into indie rock as I get older because everything else is too loud and I want the kids to get off my lawn. But Clapton was big, Jimi Hendrix, Zeppelin. Those are kind of my mainstays. So taking that, give a shout out to a band that you really, really like and think people need to listen more of, Jay.
I mean, I really listen, like, if I listen to Tool, I listen to nonstop for hours and hours, but that's, I don't know, it's kind of a psychedelic rock. It's kind of twisted, kind of a dark at times, but I don't know. I like the journey that it takes me on.
Shocker, a 40-something white man likes Tool. So, Jason, give a shout out to a band.
This band doesn't need any shout outs, but it's Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
If there's like one, like they said,
Is that a new
you can't
band?
listen to another rock band, not any band, but no rock band ever again. It'd be Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Did you guys happen to see that? I think it was last Saturday, one of the concert things that they were doing from Zoom for fun. I think it's a Lady Gaga one that they're doing. But the Stones were on there. They were surprisingly good.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
being 140 years old, they're still really good.
Yeah, unlike Kiss, they're still touring and not saying this is our farewell tour 2 years later.
I had a time trying to explain to my kids who the Rolling Stones were, but that's a failure on my part as a parent. So, no, for me, a band I've been getting into a lot lately is Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. Really good. He's fully a soul singer, but the band is like old school R&B, full horn section type band, and they're a lot of fun if you haven't given them a listen to. SOB is one of my favorite songs of all time now. It's so good. But music. So that kind of fills in our background a little bit. Let's kind of finish out here talking toys. What were your favorite lines when you were growing up, Jay?
Oh, bar none, it was G.I. Joe for sure. So I mean, I would collect a few things here and there. Silverhawks was probably, I think I had most of them. Starcom was just a great line, but I didn't get a whole lot of them just because I didn't see them a lot, really. But Thundercats, Star Wars, of course. But G.I. Joe, by long shot, was my favorite. I mean, if I was playing with my toys when I was a kid, it was G.I. Joe.
How about you, Jason?
I think G.I. Joe was the biggest thing that I was into. And for the longest, I got into it. I want to say it was like 85. And I didn't stop until like, I think 93 or 94 when I got to high school. Girls became interesting and toys didn't. You know, what can I say?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty long stretch to be into something, even for,
Absolutely.
kids. I guess second to that was probably Masters of the Universe and Ninja Turtles. I think Ninja Turtles, I was pretty much a completionist. I think I was old enough to understand collecting and trying to have a complete collection. I think for the first 2 years of Ninja Turtles, I had everything, and then it waned after that. So.
Oh, you got out before it got really weird then.
Yeah, it was probably like after the first or second movie when I started seeing like the movie toys and they just didn't quite look right.
Yeah.
I think that's when I got out, and then Micro Machines, dude.
Oh,
Machines, full circle from the other day.
Yeah.
I had a ton of them. I wish they still. Why hasn't that made a resurgence? Like
it's coming back this fall.
Yeah.
Yep. Is it really?
Yeah, Micro Machines are coming back.
Yep.
Holy crap!
We're glad to provide you information, Jason. Thanks for being on our podcast about toys.
I've been zoned in on video games for the past 5 weeks.
There you go. Yeah, that came out Toy Fair back in February. They showed off. They're doing.
There was a February this year. I don't even remember.
It might have been a year ago at this point. At least it feels like it. But yeah, they're going to do some of the little transforming playset type things and yeah, the normal things. So hopefully, I hope it takes off because I wasn't a huge Micro Machine guy because I was kind of aging out of toys at that point. But man, they were fun. I loved them. I remember I had an uncle who had stock in Duluth, and so he would send us every year at Christmas a bunch of Micro Machine stuff just to try to help us stock out more than anything.
Nice.
But anyways, yeah, for me, there's no surprise. G.I. Joe. We all met in G.I. Joe circles. So, and Jason, I think you have a very excellent point. I think, as I think about it, it may not have ever been like my focal point or whatever, but I was into G.I. Joe longer than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, from about 85 till 90-ish. I mean, it was always there as one of my top 2-3 toys, maybe. Obviously, Transformers was a big one for me, although I didn't have a ton of Transformers. I still really loved what I had. And then I liked a lot of the other kind of offshoot toy line. Mask was a big one for me. Centurions was a big one. Lego.
That's so amazing.
Oh, Mask is such a good. I can't believe of all the toy lines that hasn't made it. But we'll talk about that question later down the road. But Mask, yeah, because it was G.I. Joe and superheroes and Transformers all mashed together.
And cars.
And cars, yeah. But Centurions was a really big one for me when those came out. I think maybe I was the only person that collected everything in Centurions. I think largely because it went to clearance at Toys R Us very quickly. So I could get everything at really cheap prices. So even as a kid, I was kind of the cheap deal guy. But even some stuff like Sky Commanders. You guys remember Sky Commanders?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember I had a few of those, and they were the same scale as Mask, so there was some cross-play there.
Right.
But and a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of Turtles, but Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man when I was a kid, but I phased out of that one as soon as G.I. Joe hit. When G.I. Joe hit, I was done with He-Man. But, yeah, so, I can't, there it is. I couldn't pull my questions back up. As a kid, what was your one favorite individual toy? Not necessarily a line, but did you have one specific toy that was your favorite among all others? Jay?
I'm ruining all your questions. So one Christmas I got both the Night Raven and the Tomahawk in G.I. Joe.
Ooh.
I mean, that was a great Christmas.
That's a good Christmas.
Yeah.
So which one won the battles?
Tomahawk. I'm always the good guy wins kind of thing.
Yeah, but you're such a jet guy.
I know. But the Tomahawk, you could fit so many guys in.
Yeah, that was such a good toy.
Yeah.
There's
how much
about fitting a whole squad of people in something,
right,
transporting them somewhere and going on a mission, everybody getting back in and going somewhere else. Like, it's kind of cool.
It's awesome.
It had 2 propellers.
Yeah. Well, like that, sometime when we talk G.I. Joe, we'll get into this more, but like that, the Whale, that was my favorite because you could fit a crap ton of guys on the Whale. and it was an awesome vehicle. Anyways, Jason, how about you? What was your favorite toy?
You know, I'm having trouble here between the Sky Striker and the Moray Hydrofoil from G.I. Joe. The Sky Striker being, for those who don't know, the 14 Tomcat, and then the Moray Hydrofoil was like
that's a good one.
The jet boat.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal. It was like Cobra, but you put a bunch of characters in it, figures in it, and I grew up with a pool at my parents' house, so it was something I could take in the pool. I even took it in the ditches in the front yard. Actually, I'm gonna go with the Hydrofoil, man. I think that's
a great one.
Playing with that Hydrofoil, and like it had these little like runners on the bottom that just, if you had carpet, if you slid it, it just slide across the carpet real well. That was a good toy.
Yeah, I remember. Just tangenting. We'll have to do a G.I. Joe episode here before long, but Cobra, their vehicles always had the cool gun turrets on the top of them, whether it was a Hiss or the Moray or the Water Moccasin. That was a play feature I loved about Cobra vehicles. That Joe vehicles didn't really have the same. I mean, they had some, but that was cool. No,
everybody hung off the sides of the G.I. Joe vehicles like one of those trains
back
in the 1800s, like they're dragging the work crew somewhere. That was Joe's vehicles. They were just dragging their soldiers on the outside of the vehicles.
Right.
They didn't get mowed down.
The one that always bothered me was the Dragonfly, that they had the foot pegs on the skis for guys to like hold on. It's like, even as a kid, I thought, this is really not safe. This isn't a smart thing.
Survival of the fittest, damn it.
That's right. Snake Eyes is going to get his head chopped off. This isn't going to work. But anyways, for me, my favorite individual toy as a kid was I had a Chewbacca from the original Star Wars line. And for about 3 years, from I'd say maybe 3 years old up to 6 years old, I took that thing with me everywhere. It was that was my pocket toy. That doesn't sound right. That was in my pocket, and would take it to the stores and stuff. And I tell this story a lot when people ask why I love toys so much. But I remember we had a grocery store called Econo Foods, and we went there, and they had a little toy section. You go there. So I ran back there to look at the toys, and I took my Chewbacca out of my pocket, and I set it down on the shelf, and I was looking at toys, and some other little blonde-headed little SOB came and grabbed my Chewbacca and ran. And I'm probably about 4.5 at this point. I run out into the aisle, and I yell at the top of my lungs down where everyone's checking out at the grocery, "That's my Chewbacca!" And my mom comes, shooting out from around the corner, and that kid he threw the Chewbacca back at me, and it skidded along the floor, and I grabbed it, and Mom checked out, and we got out of the store in a hurry. But that's I was very protective of my Chewbacca. So,
aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Okay, we'll kind of speed things up and get towards an ending spot here. But Jay, you kind of mentioned the best gift. That was a great Christmas. Was that the best gift you remember getting as a kid?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love those. I love both of those vehicles so much.
Yeah.
I played with them for years and years and years and years. So, yeah, absolutely.
How about you, Jason? Best gift?
Best gift?
Yeah, do you remember like a Christmas or a birthday getting something that was just that blew your little kid mind?
Yeah. I think it was my Cobra.
Great story, Jason.
I got that for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. I had some pretty good Christmases. I mean, I grew up pretty fortunate. But I think the Cobra Terror Drum, I got that for Christmas one year, and that was just kind of like...
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Big old box. For me, I remember...
I woke up and Santa had already put it together. It was like...
Oh! Yeah. That was my favorite part of G.I. Joe's, is putting the stuff together myself. My dad was...
I don't know. Those no step stickers can eat a dick.
I love that. I love doing that, because anyways. But
well, the first, big purchase I ever bought for myself was the aircraft carrier. I was saving up my money, cutting lawns, doing things around the house. My parents, I'll do this for money. I'll do that for money. I saved up and saved up and saved up. I remember how much it was. It was $99.99 at this little mom and pop store we had, and that was a chore to put together.
I legit.
At me.
Yeah, that's what mine would. I legit thought the flag was a myth until I was in high school. I didn't think.
Really?
I never saw it in the store. But then one of my friend's neighbors had it, and he took me over and showed it to me. I'm like, what the? It kind of blew my mind. Anyways, but for me, I remember distinctly getting the Millennium Falcon, and it wasn't Christmas or birthday. It was like some random day. My mom just bought it for me and brought it home, and I thought, oh my word! And I played the heck out of that Millennium Falcon, swooshing and whooshing and
Yeah, for sure.
doing all sorts of things. But it was just one of those random. I suspect they felt guilty about something because we were pretty poor at that time, and so getting something that big was really out of the blue. I remember another time, my dad got me a Perceptor out of the blue. It's because he had to sell his car because we needed money to make rent. So he sold this car that was supposed to be mine when I grew up, and he felt really guilty about it. And as a kid, it's like, oh, I got this Perceptor, this microscope transformer, which was awesome to me. But getting older, it's like, oh, Dad, you didn't have to do that, man. That was rough, dude. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But so I suspect there was something in there like that, like we couldn't afford meat for a week or something. I don't know. Or they must have gotten a bonus or something. Anyways, but all of a sudden that story took a dark turn, and I feel sad.
It did take a dark turn.
So, all right. Did you get a toy as a gift, like from a grandma, that you absolutely hated and had to pretend like you liked for a little bit? Jay?
Fucking Twin Twist. I hate that fucking toy so much. I never bought another Transformer until I got to be an adult. I hated that toy so much. I pulled back and it did the flip, and I was just like, okay, well, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. Jason, how about you?
I got some strange ones. I don't think there was any that I hated, but there was definitely some that were kind of really weird or odd.
Yeah.
Looking back, there's like some things I got from grandparents that I'm pretty fond of, even if they were really bizarre.
All right. So all those listening to this, in the comments below, guess what weird, bizarre thing Jason's grandparents got him. Put it in the comments.
Nothing sexual.
For me, this is kind of an odd one. We had when I was growing up as a real little kid, my parents owned a pizza shop, and next door to that pizza shop was a couple little old lady sisters that lived together in this house, and they kind of liked me. I'd go over and feed their dog pepperoni, and they'd give me a bag of M&Ms, and so they just liked the weird little kid that came over. So every year they got me a Christmas present, and I kid you not, they got me in He-Man the robot horde guy that you put together. Is that Multibot? Is that what he's?
Modulok and Multibot. There's two of them.
Okay, it's the robot guy, not the red dude.
Okay. Yeah.
They got me that same toy 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row. I got Multibot from and they're sweet old. I'm sure they went to like the grocery store and they saw He-Man and Cheap and thought, oh, Travis will love that. And the first year I was kind of phasing out of He-Man by that point. It's like, oh, thanks so much. And the second year is like, okay, thank you. And by the third year, it's like, okay, thanks. I don't know what am I going to do with this? So yeah, Multibot. I don't care for Multibot very much, but all right, let's start wrapping things up. What's your favorite modern toy line or toy? Let's say 2000 on as an adult collector. What's been your favorite toy, Jay?
I've really, and thanks, Travis, this is your fault. I've really devoted a lot of time and energy and money into the whole Gundam thing. I've really been impressed by the technology, the engineering that has been taken to create these models. I mean, it's truly fascinating, and that's kind of what made me want to kind of create my own 3D printed action figure. So I love the designs of them. I love the engineering of them. It's very interesting how they do all this.
How about you, Jason?
You see it behind me.
Lionel?
No, well, yeah, no. Master Universe Classic. I mean,
yeah.
The resurgence of G.I. Joe was pretty big. It's kind of how I met you guys. I'm slowly getting rid of my collections. The one thing I chose to keep was the He-Man collection. Part of it's kind of it's still kind of going. I still have some shows on TV, and my kids, even before they had the new She-Ra, it was one cartoon we felt kind of safe showing them. And I tried to watch the older G.I. Joe cartoons with them, and some of the newer ones are just a little too violent for my taste for my kids. So I kind of grew up, or they grew up watching the older He-Man with me, so it was something we kind of agreed we're going to keep these around. So one, I think they're great toys. Two, my kids are into them. So
yeah. Yeah, for me, I thought about this question a lot, and there's a lot. There's Transformers, G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends, He-Man, all that. And I blame the old Moderately Geeky podcast squarely for this, but I actually think it's Lego. I liked Lego a whole lot more as an adult than I did as a kid. And I remember, I think we all kind of jumped back in a little bit with that Monster Fighter line back at, what would be, early 2010, something like that.
Yeah, and I got every one of those. I love the hell out of that line.
Did you ever get the Haunted House?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. But for me, it's, I got some of the Star Wars stuff. I got, the UCS Millennium Falcon big thing. I got modular buildings. It just really kind of awakened that, man, I really like building big Lego sets type of thing. I think similar to the Gundam that kind of attracted you, Jay, the Legos kind of sucked me in, and it's weird because I'm kind of on a not buying as many Legos as it was, but then I just posted up last night. I found that Chinese Sanctum Sanctorum that's like 7,000 pieces, and it's like, oh, that looks really cool. I should get that. So I can catch Wuhan. So I'm
finding myself when I'm building these things, when I've got an active role in the actual product. As opposed to just getting a guy and say, okay, well, I'll pose him once and there he is.
Exactly.
I'm spending a weekend building like a real grade or master grade, or I'm going to start working on a couple of these perfect grades here. And that's going to take me weeks to get together.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's weird that I went through a collector phase like in my 20s and early 30s, and then it really got into, I need this to do something more than just sit on a shelf. Otherwise I quit getting joy out of it. But that's a philosophical thing we can go down some other time. But anyways, let's close things out. Let's talk about if you remember Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, waking up on Saturday, just watching. What's your perfect lineup? Give me 5 cartoons and what kind of bowl of cereal you're eating. Jay.
All right. So in no particular order, I'd like to throw in gargoyles.
Good.
Gummy bears.
I sense a theme coming on here.
We watched Gummy Bears last night, the first episode. My wife is obsessed with the show.
It was a fun, cute show, right?
My daughter's kind of sitting there kind of watching, like, trying to figure out what.
Yeah. It was bounced here and there and everywhere.
G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'll go with I like Darkwing Duck. It was fun. Listen, that Disney Power Hour in the 90s or whatever it was fucking money. It was money. All right? You couldn't get anything better than that. All right? And then I'll throw in Jim.
Just as an add-in at the end, just so everyone's clear, Jim. So, all right, Jason. Oh, wait. What cereal are you eating?
Lucky Charms.
Oh, Lucky Charms. All right, Jason.
No. Yeah, you eating Lucky Charms? Okay. No, no sugary cereals. No. I grew up eating oatmeal.
Cut his mic.
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal.
I said oatmeal.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Quaker Instant Oatmeal? Man, that was where it was at.
Right? With brown sugar?
Oh. Yeah, a little butter in there.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel you.
Can you stop being old?
I feel you. Hey,
look, I spent a
Wilford Brimley tried to save you from diabetes. All right. So oatmeal. What's your cartoons?
No particular order. Anything Hanna-Barbera. It was like
yeah.
Thunder the Barbarian. Was that
Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera?
Yeah.
Yeah, like all
Yeah.
those old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, TMNT, Ninja Turtles, people don't know what that is, and He-Man.
Oh, Team NT was a
Nice.
great cartoon, dude.
That was good. That was a good one. Okay, for me, I'm eating Honey Nut Cheerios. Cartoons, I think I got to go Transformers. I got to go G.I. Joe. I got to go Mask. And then I'm going Centurions just because I love it. But you're
Those
right,
3
Jay.
episodes?
There was like 11, I think, maybe more. There's at least no. I think they had a full season, one full like 26. And I was tempted to throw on something kind of more obscure like Spiral Zone or something like that. But I think Jay, you're right on that Disney block of cartoons. I'm gonna go Rescue Rangers though as my favorite one.
Nice.
Chippendale.
My oldest has gotten into Rescue Rangers. Yes.
It's and they all had great theme songs, but I think it was the best theme song. And Monterey Jack, even as a kid, was a hero, and that's only grown more as I become an adult. I wish I was Monterey Jack.
I assumed it was the Tom Selleck Dale.
You would think it would be with the Hawaiian shirts, but he was too dumb for me. No, it's Monterey Jack and Zipper, his little buddy. So that's where I would go. Let's close out the show. Give me one thing that didn't suck this week, Jay.
I don't know, talking to all you guys again. So it's kind of nice to kind of relight that fire.
There you go. How about you, Jason? Something that doesn't suck.
The Pentagon came out and said, there are UFOs, we're admitting it, and no one is talking about it.
Hey, in a world where you're struggling to find toilet paper, UFOs are way down the list on things we got to worry about.
In fairness, aliens were slotted for July, so they're a little early.
That's right. That's right.
I'm waiting to see what the over/under is on kaiju hitting the West Coast.
All I'm saying is it's May 1st tomorrow. So, I mean, we're due for something to change and break loose. But as for me, something that doesn't suck, my kids, as they're doing homeschooling with my wife, she's doing an excellent job, and they do a social studies thing where every week they're studying a different country, and they're doing Kenya today. My kid picked Kenya because he loves elephants. So they want to do Kenya, but as part of it, the way we bribe the kids to get into this is they cook a dish from the country that they study, and they made these donut things from Kenya today. They were so stinking good. I have been jonesing for a donut so hard for the last month because we're not eating any outside of the house prepared food. So I bought like Little Debbie's, and we bought like the croissant things that you cook at home, but it ain't the same. But these donuts, and they were like a non-super sweet donut. They're made with coconut milk, and they had a little salt, a little crunch. Oh man, dude, they were the best. Kenyan donuts. Go find out about Kenyan donuts. So
African food.
See, I
really
thought what
good.
you were going to say was the old YouTube meme where lions in Kenya, the little animated song from YouTube. I thought that's where you were going.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. No.
Oh, I have to share.
Although yeah, we'll have to do. We do the Penn Pineapple guy too. I'm waiting for Thailand or wherever he's from to come up.
So
you guys seen him?
We discovered African cuisine at Disney a few years ago because they have the Animal Kingdom and they have a whole lodge dedicated to Africa and stuff. African food is really, really good. Like it's a very. We're talking about things underrated. Y'all gotta find some African food in your area. It's great.
I've had some Ethiopian food, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, Jay, close us out.
All right. That's Social Geekery for the week. I appreciate you hanging around and listening to us ramble for about 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes. We're going to be back next week. Don't really have a plan yet. We'll see what happens. It may be a little bit more interesting than this week. I tell you what, if you have any other interesting toy collections or anything like that, willing to share, make a comment. Let us know what kind of action figures or toy lines that you're interested in. And yeah, so we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. See ya.
See you later.
Bye.